So our last candidate for IDP chair is Kim Weaver. I have to hold the phone? Oh, okay. Okay, it's my first test to see if I follow instructions, right? Sure. Okay. I was asked earlier if it was good or bad to be the last speaker. My answer is, it depends on how hungry everybody is, right? As most of you know, I was the Democratic challenger to Steve King. And while I didn't win, I made some great inroads. I was happy after the blackness of the election to find out that I actually had a higher vote percentage in all 39 of my counties than both Hillary and Patty Judge. And even more so amazing, when I looked at my cost of dollar per vote, Jim Maurer and I got approximately the same vote percentage. His cost per vote was almost $10 a vote. Mine was $1.22. Huge difference. That meant that I ran a really lean campaign. And when I would meet people out on the road, they would often say, "You're brave." It had nothing to do with being brave, and more to do with being afraid that we would lose our voice. Because that's what we're doing in the very rural areas of our state, is we're losing our voice. When I talk to Republicans who are like-minded and have similar values to mine, I ask them, "Why are you a Republican?" And they look at me and they said, "I never knew any Democrats. There were never any Democrats on the ballot." So that is one of my priorities, is to make sure that in all the red areas, or the orphaned areas, the non-viable, non-winnable areas, that we have people on the ballots. And they might not win, but they're going to carry our message out there. This year I recruited a young man, Mason McCoy, to run in my Iowa House district. And I said, "Mason, it's like 13% Democrat. If you win, they're going to write books about you." Okay? So you're probably not going to win, but that's not why you're doing it. You're doing it to show people that there are Democrats out there. You're doing it to get our message, and you're doing it to help everybody above you on the ticket. Because in 2018, we have a governor's race, and we need to take back Terrace Hill. Because I'm a union member, I'm an AFSCME member, and we're all terrified about what's going to happen. And we need to work as hard as we can to make sure that we at least get a governor in place. And by having people in these red districts, it's going to help. And everybody asks, how are you going to pay for it? Well, what I'm proposing is a low dollar monthly club, $27. And that $27 would be divided among the county, the district, and then I'm calling a red to blue fund. The constituency caucuses would have their own budget, an inclusion fund for things like CART and handicap accessible buildings and any other sorts of services we need, and then the IDP would get their share as well. And then of course the chair would have to be raising money with the big dollar donors as well. But we've seen that small dollar donations can make a big difference. 78% of my donations were $27 and below. And I'm not going to talk a lot more because I want to take some questions from you. And I'm used to moving my hands, so this is kind of a strange thing, telling people on the phone. Okay, questions?
Kim, the question I'm asking everybody else is, what new ideas have you gleaned from your opponents that you think are worthy of adoption if you are selected as the chair?
Certainly. And so the question was, what new ideas from my opponent have you gleaned that we could adopt as chairs? It's interesting that a lot of us have very similar ideas on, I really can't say a particular idea that I have from my opponents. I mean, they're all great people. We'd be well served by pretty much any of them. I do like the idea that, we're all pretty much focused on making sure that we get opponents for the challengers in the red districts. So that's my answer.
Kim, I have a question for you. You have a unique perspective because you ran in this last cycle. And first of all, thank you very much for running against Steve King. You definitely deserve our appreciation. But because of that, imagine a perfect world. What could the IDP have done for you, or can do for future candidates, to make you more successful?
Oh, that was a good question. Basically asked if, what could the IDP do, from my perspective as a candidate, to help a candidate in the future? Stop hurting them. I was talking earlier that towards the end of the campaign, I felt like I was fighting against the coordinated campaign. I found out afterwards that in at least 3 different offices, when somebody came in to get one of my yard signs, they were told they couldn't have one unless they signed up to volunteer for a shift. And Andy, I'll be sending you a bill for the remainder of my signs that didn't get out. I was also told that 2 weeks before the election, my brochures were no longer going out. And that they were calling only strong Hillary people. And if somebody said they didn't support Hillary, they stopped the phone call. They didn't talk about Patty, they didn't talk about me, and I think that's wrong. Now, I don't really expect to get a lot of money from the party because I knew it was a long shot. But I'll tell you something, it's pretty disappointing when Stephanie Shriak from Emily's List says to you, my grandma's so excited about you, you're such a wonderful candidate, she's gonna vote for you, you're just doing a great job, but we're not gonna support you because you can't win. Well, you know what? I spent $1.22 per vote, beat Hillary and Patty in every single one of my counties, and got pretty much the same vote percentage as Jim Maurer, and he spent $1.7 million. Maybe if I'd had a few more dollars, I could have done a little better, right? So I think that one of the things that's difficult when you first run, and especially if you've never run before, and somebody go, why didn't you start for Board of Supervisors? And my response was, I had a better chance of winning a congressional race than winning Board of Supervisors in my county. Just the truth. When I went through the endorsement for the Sioux City Journal, they endorsed Steve King, and they said, he's a nice family man, he's personable when he's here. They went on, he's a racist and all this other stuff. And they said, and Kim Weaver, she's a great candidate. She's intelligent, knowledgeable, articulate, and knows the issues, and if she doesn't win, she should run again. I decided that was kind of an endorsement, so I took it. But I also think that one thing we could do, and this is something I know Andy knows I harped on her about, sorry about that, Andy, but I am persistent. When we send stuff out pre-primary, and we say stuff about Steve King, mention his opponent. And I know that we have primary stuff, but Senate race, mention everybody. Because we need name recognition. And we just talk about the opponents and we don't talk about the people we have running. So, I could go on and on, but I won't.
Kim, this is Jason from the Progressive Caucus.
Yes.
Since you are an active member of both the Women's and Progressive Caucus, I thought this would be a great question for you. Assuming you're elected to be chair and you would, SEC votes to keep the second and third vice chair positions, how would you utilize those people to help build the diversity caucuses?
Oh, that's a wonderful question. Wanted to know how I would utilize the second and third vice chairs if we chose to have them to help with the diversity caucuses. First of all, we have completely underused our diversity caucuses and all of our constituency caucuses. And so I would hope to use them as a resource to be able to reach out and recruit individuals to run in offices that are members of their caucuses. And so, helping to build that and getting teams, candidate support teams, because, there's only so much money, time, and people to go around, and we all need to pitch in. And my hope would be that anybody that serves under me as a vice chair actually takes the job seriously, and that it's not just a title. Because I've never run for something just to have a title.
Eleanor Taft, 2nd District. Kind of a long question, sorry. We seem to be losing the messaging battle to the Republicans among rural voters and working class voters, even though our platform's more supportive of workers' rights and family farms than the Republican platform. Could you give an example of a specific issue on which the Republicans are successfully pushing a false narrative that people are buying into, and tell us how the Democratic Party can reframe that issue to better appeal to working class or rural voters?
Sure. One of them I talked about all the time is immigration reform. They're the bad guys. They're, rapists, there's murderers. And so we have to have this mass deportation. But what a lot of people, especially rural areas, don't realize is that the American Farm Bureau supports comprehensive immigration reform with a path to citizenship. And when I told people that, they were usually like, what? And I said, yeah, because they know that mass deportations could be catastrophic to agriculture. They have estimated that if we follow Donald Trump's plan and my opponent Steve King's plan, that we would see an increase in farm labor of 148%. And people say, oh, well, we don't have that many undocumented immigrants here working. So yeah, you do, but you just don't necessarily know it. And the other thing is, let's say they deport all the people in Georgia who are harvesting the peaches. Don't you think that they're going to try and entice people out of Iowa to go vote there? So it will affect us.
Hi, this is Laura from Howard County. A question from a different person, but $27 a month could be rough for some. How do you plan to engage activists and Democrats who cannot participate financially, but they still want to be involved?
Sure, and that's an option. There are people who can easily afford $27 a month, and there are people who cannot. When I was elected chair for my county party, I said that no one is going to be banned from participation in anything because of their economic status. And so we determined that we would pay convention fees for any of our members, because I didn't want somebody going up, and I know it's voluntary that you do that, but I didn't want somebody being embarrassed or feeling ashamed that they would go up to the registration table and say, I can't pay the fee. And there's some people that probably wouldn't even run because they would be embarrassed by that. So there's plenty of ways for people to participate. In the 2014 election, I didn't have a lot of money. I'm a single mom. I had 3 kids in college at the time. I built 6 websites for state house and senate candidates. That was my contribution. So there's a lot of things that people can do that contribute.
Hi, I'm Colleen Caldwell from the Rural Caucus. So there are many races across Iowa, specifically in rural Iowa, where Republicans were able to run uncontested. So you mentioned recruiting one candidate. I was wondering what your strategy would be to make sure that we don't have all these uncontested races, especially in rural Iowa.
I was disgusted when after the filing, I'm being reminded to repeat the question. They're wanting to know what I would do to make sure that we have people running in the red districts where we have a lot of uncontested races. Following the filing deadline in March, I found that we had 8 uncontested races in the 4th district alone. And I was disgusted because I remember that we lose our voice there. They just skate in there. And we can't allow that. So working within, we have our state central committee members in each district. Several of the districts also have caucus chairs and vice chairs. And in my district, we split up the counties among the state central committee members so that we can contact the different counties before meetings. And that's something where they can go out and meet. Because, as you all know, being a state central committee member is a responsibility. And it's a title that we should all take seriously. And I think we should all be working towards that. And what really actually got me started was Representative Todd Pritchard came over to O'Brien County in early, it was 2013, met with me, the chair from Sioux County and the chair from Osceola County, and we talked about people we knew who could run. And so, getting that support and basically that go-ahead, because as chairs, you don't really think that there's this unspoken thought that you can't do that the IDP is supposed to do that, or the House Truman Fund is supposed to do that, or the Senate Majority Fund. Well, they weren't doing it in our area because we just don't have the resources. And we know what that's like in a very rural area.
Hey, Kim. Dylan Funk, Vice Chair, Progressive Caucus. Over the last 30 to 40 years, we've watched as Iowa's gone from blue to purple and now to red. How would you go about reaching out to very other than the Democratic Party to bring them back to our party?
And I apologize, I have a bad back and I fell on the ice this morning, so I'm going to prop myself up here for a moment. Wanted to know, we've gone basically almost to red at this point, and what are we going to do and to reach out to other parties? I still remember a story from Woodbury County where a man went in to get one of my signs, and so of course they wanted to get him to volunteer. This was before they had the rule that you had to volunteer. And he says, well, I'm actually Green Party, and this is the first time my wife has ever let me put a sign in the yard. So, I had people from the Green Party, I had Republicans. I think it's we find a centralized location or centralized message. And one of the things that I'm putting together right now is a Friends of Public Employees and an employees page on Facebook that's going to be nonpartisan, because there's a lot of Republicans out there who are going to be hurt by the proposals. And I believe if we find issues that cross party lines and make it not just about being a Democrat and not say, you know, you guys are against this and we're for it, I think it's going to go a long ways in opening up that big blue tent that we have. Oh, I gotta stop.
All right, and I would like to have the other candidates, please, have them come back in. You know, I'll tell you, this isn't easy running for chair, I do know that, and these candidates have endeavored to do they're going to do very, very hard work for us. It's a lot of time in the car, a lot of time on the phone, and a lot of time away from your family, but it's important work. And I want to take a moment, when they come all in here, come on in guys, come on up here. I just want to take a moment to thank all of you for doing all the hard work you've already done talking to people, and for being here and putting yourself out, because I know what it's like to be in the arena, and thank you for coming into the arena. So we all give them a hand, please. Appreciate all your thoughts and all your good ideas, and I know when we vote next January, I know we're going to have a great chair because of all of you, but I also know I want all of you to stay involved and give us all those ideas and all your energy. So let's thank them one more time.